Rhif and the Torch and Bridge Riddle, a 10-minute short story from the Tales of the Sacred Sword. Rhif loved nothing more than to curl up in his favorite chair, with a good book while his son played at his feet and a fire roared behind him. Oftentimes, his wife would throw a blanket on him after he inevitably fell asleep mid-page. It was how the Master of Numbers preferred to spend his evenings. How Rhif found himself in the pitch of dead of winter standing on the side of a chasm, with a soldier, a mute child whom no one could identify, and a holy woman who had to be at least 100 years old, was beyond him. Rhif wanted nothing to do with adventure, but adventure always wanted something to do with him. The group approached the bridge that crossed the chasm. Rhif looked down and was thankful for the darkness. It was thousands of feet to the bottom. They lined in a single file, with the soldier at the lead.
"Welcome to my bridge."
Thunder boomed and a lightning bolt flashed, illuminating the dark. At the center of the bridge, a man sat atop an old colt horse. With his smooth, flawless skin, deep-set eyes, and raven-black hair, the man was impossibly handsome. His horse matched him in appearance. Its fur and mane were as black as coal, its limbs thick and powerful, as was its hooves. It snorted and neighed. The lightning flashed again. Rhif got a better look at rider and horse. The light stayed long enough to reveal their true appearance. The colt was old and haggard. It looked like it would die of old age. If Rhif wasn't so sure it wasn't dead already. The light melted away the man's face, revealing a human skull.
"Who dares cross?"
The man on the horse called out in a voice too deep to be human.
"I will,"
said the holy woman.
"I know of this place. Anyone that steps on this bridge in darkness forfeits their life to that evil monster."
"We have a torch," said the soldier.
"That will work,"
said the holy woman. "We'll have to huddle close together. The bridge is so narrow, we'll have to go in single file," said the soldier.
"Not enough light,"
said the holy woman.
"At most it will protect 2 people.
While the soldier and the holy woman discussed the situation, Rhif squatted at the base of the bridge. He studied the chasm, lost in thought. "I am the fastest, and as a guard in the flame service, it is my duty to protect you. I shall escort you across one at a time," said the soldier. "And how fast are you?" Rhif stood, stopping his study of the chasm. "What is your lap time on the flame's running track?" 48 seconds. The soldier brimmed with pride as he spoke. It was a good time. "I could barely beat a minute in my youth." Rhif studied them one last time. "The way I see it, this bridge is a little shorter than the running track. However, it's also narrower. You should be able to cross it in a minute. I'm not as young as I used to be, but I should still be able to make it in 2 minutes. The child should be able to make it in 4 minutes, and for Her Holiness, 8 minutes to cross the bridge. More importantly, when 2 people cross, they must go the pace of the slower traveler and stick together." All nodded in agreement, except for the child, of course, for the child was mute. Rhif continued. "Most importantly, that torch you carry is a standard issue of the flame. It will last 15 minutes, nearly to the second. We cannot waste a moment of it." "Then I shall hurry each one of you across," said the soldier. "There's a better way," said Rhif. Had it been any other man, the soldier would have ignored his plea and prepared himself to ferry across the child and the holy woman. But Rhif was the master of numbers, a title earned through reputation and deed and merit. As Rhif detailed his plan, the others listened with the intensity and respect they would have given the flame. Rhif stood at the bridge, the soldier close behind him.
"Do not fear the Tywell. It cannot harm you if you are in the light,"
said the holy woman. Rhif wanted to believe, but seeing was believing. He stepped onto the bridge, and nothing happened. The Tywell waited at the bridge's center atop his midnight horse. Rhif came to his senses and began to run. The soldier followed barely one step behind, their torch lighting their way. When they reached the center of the bridge, the light from the torch shined on the Tywell. It changed from a handsome man on the perfect colt to the skull-faced monster on the decrepit horse. Rhif ran straight at him. Just as he thought he would collide with the Tywell, the torchlight shined on the unholy creature and it disappeared. Rhif ran right through where it had stood a moment before. After the light passed through, Rhif had little doubt the Tywell had re-emerged in the darkness. But he didn't look back to confirm. There was no time for that. When they reached the other side, Rhif collapsed and caught his breath. The soldier ran back across the bridge, leaving Rhif on the other side. As the soldier reached the middle of the bridge, the Tywell disappeared once again, allowing the soldier to reach the other side. The soldier's return trip was twice as fast as Rhif's initial trip, just as Rhif had predicted. This time, the holy woman and child crossed. In one hand she held the torch. In the other, she held the top of the child's head. The child followed immediately behind her. She showed no fear as the torch allowed her to pass the space that the Tywell had occupied in the darkness. It was painstakingly long, about 4 times longer than Rhif took, but they made it across. When they had made it, instead of congratulating them, Rhif snatched the torch and returned across the bridge. He feared the Tywell less than the first crossing, for he had seen the torch protect people on 3 separate crossings. But there was something else to fear. Time. When he reached the other side, he didn't stop. The torch flickered as Rhif turned on his heel. The soldier was immediately behind him. Rhif huffed and puffed as hard as his lungs would allow, but he would not stop. The torch flickered and dimmed, but Rhif ran through the Tywell spot, the light bright enough to protect their way. He hadn't run this hard in a decade, or more. In the last 3 steps, the light flickered one last time. Then it went out. Rhif dove, something he hadn't done in 2 decades. The soldier behind him dove as well. Rhif hit the ground on the other side of the bridge, hard but safe. The soldier was at the end of the bridge, the Tywell on the horse holding his leg and heel as he tried to escape. The old holy woman and the child pulled on the soldier. Rhif joined. The soldier came free of the Tywell's grip and free of his boot as well. But he was safe on the other side of the bridge. The Tywell roared in anger, then disappeared. The 4 looked at one another. Then the soldier spoke. "We made it. Every one of us. Except for me boot." He looked at his sock feet, then laughed. A lost boot is a small price to pay compared to what he would have lost had the Tywell gotten him. Rhif slowed his pulse. It was way too much excitement for him, and not the excitement he preferred, like that of a good book. "We made it all right, and 2 minutes faster than your way." Puzzled, the soldier looked at him and spoke. "Maybe I'll get you to explain it to me sometime, Master of Numbers. But for now, I'll take your word on it."